Hi there, this is Josh, and this is the first day where we get down to the nitty-gritty of the language. I'm going to start teaching you the alphabet. I'm going to show you a letter, give you a word where that letter is in, and I'm going to pronounce it twice. I'm going to give you a chance to repeat before, during, and after. I recommend viewing this once or twice a week until you're really comfortable with the letters. And one way that I learned it I took notebook paper and I just copied them out like 10 times a day, each letter. Now, I'm not going to do the vowels on this lesson. They're not hard, it's just a matter of, I think it might be a little too much to do in one sitting. So, I go through the consonants, and I might end up splitting those in two just if I feel it's necessary for time reasons. So, here we go. The first letter of the Hebrew alphabet is Aleph. It is a silent letter. It is only used to carry a vowel and end a syllable. And the word that we're going to use an example is Ish. Ish, which means man. The second letter of the Hebrew alphabet is a little bit more complex because there are two ways it can be pronounced. And this letter is Bait. This first point with the dot, that's used at the beginning of a word or in the beginning of a syllable. In printed Hebrew, it's not usually included. I will include it for just reference sake. Now I want you to pay attention when you're writing this letter, because it's really important. See the little dovetail towards right here? That has to be included, or it will look like another letter that you'll see here in a little bit. And the word for this is bayit. Bayit. House. So, just because I kind of went a little fast there, I'll do it again. Bayit. Bayit. Our third letter is Gimel. Gimel. It's a G sound, always a G sound, and it's always pronounced hard. And our word for this one is Gom. Gom, which means to or also. Fourth letter is Daled. Now, this is another one you got to watch out for the overhang. You see it right there. Don't want to skip out on that, or it looks like another letter, Resh. Now, our word for this one is Dode. Dode. Uncle. Next letter, Hey. Hey. Straightforward H. Easy. Any American or English speaker can do it. It's almost always pronounced except at the end of a word. At that point, it's usually signaling a final A. And our word for that is another familiar one for English speakers because the Israelis borrowed it. Hi. Hi. Informal hello. Next, we have Vav. This is another V sound, but this one also can be used for vowels. Only two, though. It can only be used for the vowel sounds O and U. And our word for this one demonstrates that. It's the word O. O, which means or. Next, we have the letter Zayin. Zayin. This is a Z sound. Always pronounced like a Z. Careful with it. You don't want to slip it over into an S. Otherwise it could cause some misunderstandings. And our word for this one is Zol. Zol, which means cheap, inexpensive, or it can also mean trash or junk. Now, this next letter gives a lot of Americans a bit of a problem. Take some practice, and it's pronounced way down in the bottom of the throat. You all have heard Scottish speakers say the word loch. Well, it's that h sound. Sounds almost like you're trying to hock a loogie. Well, it's a meaningful sound in Hebrew, and it's important. Like in our word for down here, ach, ach, brother. Tet. Now, this letter, not as common as some of the other version of T you'll see. They're pronounced exactly the same, and it's T, ta, ta, just like in English. And our word is tov, tov, which means good, fine. Our next word, our next letter is the letter Yod. This is the smallest letter. It's always smaller than every other letter, and it's pronounced Y or an I, and it can sometimes be used to form a diphthong, a combination of two vowels, and I'll show you this later. But our word for this one is a very important one, Yom. Yom, day, like in Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. Now, this next letter, you get kind of a twofer with it. It's going to be fun for you to figure it out, but take your time, study the cheat sheet. This first one, like the bait, this form is only used at the beginning of a word or a syllable, and it's pronounced like a K. In fact, the name of the letter is Kaf. Kaf. This next form, used end of a syllable or beginning of a syllable or in the middle of a syllable, is pronounced like chet. It's that hock and loogie sound. Ch, pronounced exactly the same. This final form right here is used at the end of a word. There are 5 letters that do this and that have a separate form for the end of the word, and this is one of them. It's listed in the vocabulary sheet. Please feel free to download and print it. It will help you as you learn. Next letter is Lamed. Lamed. Straight out letter L. Anybody can pronounce it. And our word is Lila. Lila, which means evening or night. Our next letter is Mem. Mem. This is another one that has a form for just at the end of the word, and that's the square. You only see that at the end of the word. This one, remember to put the little tail up right there. And our word for this is Ma. Ma. And again, this is a good one to show that H at the end of a word, not being just a vowel carrier. It just shows that there's an A sound. And the word means what, as in the question. What are you doing? From our previous one, Mashlomcha. How are you doing? Our next letter is just as easy, but it's also got one of those final forms. Final form right here. Everywhere else, the letter's name is Nun, and it's an N sound. And our word is going to be a verb, noten, noten, which means give in the present tense. We'll get to that shortly. This next letter is semech. Semech. It's got that ch sound. Pay attention. Gotta listen for those. It's an S sound. Nothing out of the ordinary there. And our word is sefer. Sefer, which means book. Our next letter is going to be tricky because we don't have this sound in most forms of English. It's ein. Ein. It's another glottal sound. It comes from right down here in the throat. You gotta remember, ein. It's almost like you're about to throw up. I know it sounds disgusting, but it works. Now, We have this in one common phrase in English. Uh-oh, uh-oh. It's that space in between the and the o. And our word is im, nation. We get another twofer here. But this one, not hard to pronounce. We start off with pay. Pay. With the dot, you got a straight P sound beginning of a word or a syllable. Remember, that dot only comes at the beginning of a word or a syllable. Without it, it's pronounced like an F. 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 And at the end of a word, you have this form. Now, our word for this one is po. Po means here. Sere. Sere just means, this is the TS sound. Or sadi. Excuse me, sadi. End of the word, and the name, our word is just the name of the letter. Sadi. Sadi. Remember, TS. Sa. Sa. This is an easy one. It's pronounced, the letter's name is Kof. It's pronounced like a K. 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 And our word is dik duk. Dik duk. Grammar. Resh. Resh. This is the one we could confuse with Dalet. See, it doesn't have that little tail there. It's pronounced like an R. The Israeli R is a little tricky, but you'll be understood if you use an American English or a British version. And our word is rehov. Rehov. Street. Shin. Shin. It's just like an English SH. 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 And our word is Shabbat. Shabbat, or in English, Shabbos. Day of rest. Now, this one, you got to remember to pay attention on these two. Because this one is pronounced straight S. This one is SH. It's all in where the dot is located. And that dot's not often included. And the name of the letter for this is Shin. Shin. And that's also our word for it. Finally, we're up to our last letter. Last full consonant. And it's another easy one. It's pronounced just like tet. It's tav. Tav. Now, just like I said, ta, and our word is Torah. Torah. First 5 books of the Bible, or if you're feeling really academic, the Pentateuch. I don't particularly care for the word. And again, Torah. It's one of the most important words in Hebrew. Well, I want you to go over this several times. And same with the next one I do on the vowels. The vowels are fairly easy. They're the same vowels you hear in Spanish. They're just written somewhat differently, and they're divided based on what was pretty common back in the day, long and short. It's not meaningful anymore. It does help with some grammar points, so I'm going to give them in the long short. And I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you find it useful. Remember, I've got the cheat sheet. The link will be in the information. Just click on About. And please join our Face group and it is Anachnu Lomdim Ivrit on Facebook. There's a link under the channel information. Thank you very much.